What's up everybody, it's KB the Dragon, and today let's take a look at another Ager's build, but this time I'm going to show you how Warlocks maximize the potential of this weapon. And if you haven't, check out my hunter build, the Grim Scepter, link in the top right of the screen right now. And if you enjoy, make sure to like and subscribe for more Destiny build videos, weapon reviews, and more. So let's dive into the Mantle of Ager, starting with the class setup. For the subclass, of course we will be using the Shadebinder. You want to make sure to use the Glacial Harvest and Ice Flare Bolts aspects. Glacial Harvest allows you to create stasis shards for yourself when enemies are frozen. High tier enemies such as Majors and Ultras even create more shards for you to use. So just like the Hunter, stasis shards are the foundation of the build since we will be using the mod Elemental Shards. This mod makes stasis shards you create count as stasis elemental wells, which triggers the mods Font of Wisdom and Font of Might. Font of Might gives your stasis weapons a 25% damage buff for 11 seconds, and Wisdom gives you 5 tiers of intellect for 30 seconds, allowing your super to cool down even faster. And since the point of the build is to keep Wisdom and Might activated as long as possible, you only need 5 tiers of super since Wisdom will take care of the rest. And also remember, you can refresh these benefits every 5 seconds by picking up another stasis shard or elemental well that's stasis. Now, let's move on to the Ice Flare Bolts. For the low cost of just shattering a frozen target, you spawn a Seeker that tracks and freezes nearby targets, helping to not only lock down more enemies in the field, but create more stasis shards to fuel your Wisdom and Might. Make sure to also use the Cold Snap grenade and spec into as much grenade and melee as possible. Cold Snap will freeze targets and attempt to track new targets, as well as the Ice Flare Bolts, and then Penumbral Blast is also an easy way to freeze a target to spawn even more stasis shards. Moving on to the fragments, you start with the Whisperer Bonds, which gives you extra super energy by defeating frozen targets, which fits nicely into your game plans since you will be freezing targets as much as possible to spawn more stasis shards. Next up is the Whisperer Conduction that makes stasis shards track to your position so you don't have to worry about picking them up in the field. The last 2 fragment slots go to the cooldowns of your melee and grenade. We have the Whisperer Fractures and the Whisperer Torment. Torment gives you grenade energy just by taking damage from targets, while on the other hand, Fracture charges your melee energy even faster by being near 2 or more targets. This allows your waves to freeze to have more uptime. On top of that, Ager's perk will also freeze more targets as you defeat targets with it. You can also use the Whisperer Orion to replace Fracture or Torment if you would prefer to have a tankier Warlock over a shorter cooldowns on your abilities. Now let's move into the armor. We'll be using the Mantle of Battle Harmony with the perk Absorption Cells since it's absolutely perfect, and it has 2 effects. The first is that it gives you super energy for takedowns with weapons of a matching energy type. This part of the perk is called Energy Siphon. It's basically like having a Thresh perk as long as the weapon matches your subclass element. The only downside is that you gain the extra super energy once every 2 seconds. But overall, this will drastically reduce your cooldown since the perk will grant you 3% super energy on its own each time you proc the effect. This perk is easy to keep going since we have Agers as our main weapon, as well as the heavy weapons Reed's Regrets from Trials, which is a linear fusion rifle, and a reprised sword from the Dawning, Zephyr, which is now a stasis sword. The second part of the perk gives a damage buff when your super is full. The buff is called Absorption Cells. After you get a kill while your super is full, you gain a 20% damage boost for 6 seconds. Each kill after you gain this boost gives you an additional 4 seconds, and it caps out at 11. The buff is 20% and a nice bonus until you unleash Ager's Catalyst, Will Given Form. With Ager's helping to proc Absorption Cells, as well as the orbs generated from the gun being masterwork, the uptime of the damage boost is insane, as well as your option to use the Will Given Form perk. To top it off, any targets frozen from Ager's will spawn stasis shards that activate Wisdom, increasing the overall speed of your supercharging. You can even make it better by using the artifact mod, the Well of Potency, where picking up matching elemental wells gives you super energy. You will have your super up in record time. It can even recharge you so fast that even with Ager's Catalyst active, you will recharge your super completely, which will cut off the perk, but you'll have to activate it again. Last but not least, let's go over the stats. You should go for a maximum of 5 tiers of intellect and a minimum of 6 tiers of discipline and strength. Font of Wisdom will max you out at 10 tiers for basically free, and Torment and Fractures will keep your abilities ready as much as possible, allowing you to freeze more often to keep this build going. And that's the Mantle of Ager, a really fun way to maximize Ager's Warlock style. Next up are the Titans, so make sure to subscribe to see more, and tell me if there are any other fragment combinations that can take this build even further in the comments below. I thank you for your time, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace.